Good evening, everybody.
How are you? I'm going to make a suggestion in my comments because we have a vice mayor. We should not have to sit here and wait to start meetings if we have a vice mayor, and I hope she hear me say that. You heard me? So I'm going to say that under my comments. Tell you all that now. That's what vice mayors are for. You don't ever want to start a meeting until he gets here?
I started many meetings when he was in here.
That's why I was asking you if you want to start. You didn't say anything when I made the comment. That's why I said that. I want to hear
I
that.
usually wait till the town manager lets me know.
I've never been here when I had to do that. So you said the town manager has to give you permission to do that?
602.
No, I was asking a question. We're talking to
Whoa.
Hold on. Get up, Sasha. Get the other shoulder. Get up the shoulder. 1, 2, 3.
What happened?
The chair came down. You all right?
She slid out of the chair.
Bring it a little closer to her then. Have a seat. Have a seat.
She slid right out of the chair.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did that disappear?
Yeah, you did.
But it
Just
went
like
down. No, it went down. And so it slid out of it. So it's not, does it lock?
Yeah, I think it's on the other side.
She slid out of the chair onto the floor. You had to pick her up and put it back in.
That's okay. Don't touch it and make do it again.
No.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started in just a moment. Just give us a moment. But if you can, while we're preparing, if you just take your cell phones, if you can place those on vibrate, that would be great. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. We have just a minor situation that we're trying to resolve. I left my glasses inside of the room somewhere. So we're going to go ahead and get started so we don't hold you up. So at this time, we're going to call the Town of Mid-Virginia Park regular council meeting of November 16th, 2021 into session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alberti.
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson. Here. Councilmember Green.
Here.
Councilmember McConnell.
Here.
And Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Thank you so much. At this time, let us stand for our invocation, please.
Show is thou gracious, Lord, Savior, Father of mankind, we thank you for this awesome opportunity we have once again to carry out the business of this town. We thank you, Father, for life, for safety, for keeping us in reasonable health and sound mind. Bless us now, Lord, as we assemble here, that all the business that we must transact will be conducted in a harmonious manner to honor you and our service to our community. Bless all those who live in this community and enter through the corridors, business, consultants, and customers alike, whom we all work in harmony with you and be ready to meet you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. A pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. At this time, we're going to attend to our agenda. We have the agenda before us, and for those who are following with us online, we thank you for participating, as well as those who are here in person. If you have an agenda, just feel free to follow along. Our first item, of course, is that whether or not there is any additions, deletions, or substitution to the agenda that we have before us.
Mr. Mayor and Council, no additions or deletions from what you're seeing here, but since our initial publication on Friday, we have added number 6A, B, C, my correction, 7A, B, C, A, B, and C, and also D and E. All of these are additions since we put the first agenda out on Friday.
Thank you so much. Noted. Are there any other additions or deletions or substitutions to the agenda? Hearing none. Motion, please.
So moved.
It's been moved that we approve the agenda as submitted. Is there a second? Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. And of course, for our consent agenda, we would have anything on our agenda that's annotated by an asterisk. There are none that are indicated as per the agenda submitted, but are there any items to be considered for the consent agenda? Hearing none, we will move on our agenda. Our next item is item 4A, and this is a proclamation and presentations presented by Tina Robalito, and this is the owner representative of Gentle Water Cremation. I'm going to ask if when you come forward, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Tina Robledo. You said my address or
You can state your just the address to your site.
my address. It is 203. The address in Florida is 1112 48th Street. The address we're discussing. Thank you all for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, when you talk in the mic, because you're short. Thank you.
So, my name, as I said, is Tina Robledo. I am the owner of Gentle Water Cremation. So we are a death care company that specializes in alkaline hydrolysis. I won't bore you with very detailed descriptions of what alkaline hydrolysis is, but I will tell you it is a gentler, more environmentally friendly method of cremation than the more traditional flame cremation. So it uses water, temperature, high temperature, high pressure, and an alkali base, which is potassium hydroxide, and it decomposes a decedent's body within 3 to 4 hours. So it's actually very similar to the process that would happen if you buried, human remains in the ground and waited several years. It just happens much faster. The environmental footprint was much better than within flame cremation. Flame cremation, the temperature uses enough energy to heat a house for 32 days at minus 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So we don't use flame, we just use water. And the water, some of the water is recycled that we use within the machine to recirculate and used in additional processes. What's left at the end of the process is an effluent, a liquid sterile effluent, that is either given back to the families who request it, or can be put just into the regular municipal waste system, and then the cremated remains, which are similar to what you would find in the flame cremation. They're just much whiter, and there's a lot more of it than what you traditionally see in flame cremation, because many of those tiny bones burn and are sent up into the air. In addition, the machine does not break down any artificial objects that we have as we get older, and our teeth get caps, and we have to have our hips replaced and our knee replaced, or we have to have mesh put in, stents put into our hearts. All of that is actually left in the machine at the end of the process and is given back for recycling. So all of that is used and goes back into recycling for future use. So we are requesting a special exemption for the property at 1112 48th Street, as we will be licensed as a crematory and a funeral establishment. I will say we will not be providing any services on site to the public, so we will not have any denominational or non-denominational services. It will literally just be the care center for our business. The property has 6 bays. We plan to take bays 1 and 2 for our business and leave the others as lease spaces for industrial use. We have, actually, the owner, I think, has expressed interest in leasing 2 spaces from us, and there is an existing tenant in there who we're hoping will stay. So I will stop there and take any questions that anyone has.
Thank you so much. We'll see if there's any questions here. Just before we do, we're going to go to our attorney, and then we'll come to Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a note, this is a presentation item before you tonight. As I understand it, the applicant is here. Special exceptions, as you know, go before the Planning and Zoning Board. That will happen later this week, but the applicant was present and in town tonight, so she wanted to appear before you. The caveat I have to give you legally is that nothing is binding here tonight. This is not the public hearing where a special exception is being approved or officially acted upon. That will happen at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. So this is just general presentation and discussion with you as council, but this will come back before the Planning and Zoning Board later in the week. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much. All right, so with that being stated, Councilman Green.
Oh, I was next. Did you say it's for discussion, right? You said you will not be boring me, because I was surprised when I never heard of it, so I'm interested. Okay, I was looking to see if we had something to read on it, so we won't be sitting up here asking you a lot of questions. But when you were talking, I couldn't make it out when you said the water gets rid of, and then you said we give something to the family. I missed that.
Oh, so there, at the end of the process, there are 2 sort of byproducts. One are the bones, so just like you would receive if you had a loved one cremated in traditional flame cremation, you get back the cremated remains. And then there's a liquid effluent that is a sterile byproduct that is either given back to the family. It's actually jet fuel for the agricultural department. It's an unbelievable fertilizer.
I thought that's what you said.
Some of the other providers will give it back to families, and they'll plant trees with it, or they'll put it in their garden and give it back into the natural environment. The other option, if families are not interested, is we can just put it down into the municipal waste system.
Now that's interesting. So it's used as fertilizer.
It can be, yes.
Weird. I have no other question.
Okay, so we'll see if there's a Vice Mayor.
Thank you for sharing this with us tonight. I have heard of this once before, but I didn't know the process exactly how it is carried out. Tell me, are there other crematories of this nature in South Florida?
No, so there's actually a pet crematory in Lake Worth that
Yeah.
is using alkaline hydrolysis.
heard that.
There was I have heard that the University of Florida has an alkaline hydrolysis machine in their donated bodies program, in their cadaver program, and they are using it. There was a provider in the Tampa Bay area who had an alkaline hydrolysis machine. He was the first in Florida to install one of the machines, but he was bought out by a much larger conglomerate, and they just weren't interested in keeping the machine or the technology. It's new. It's a little bit, the death care industry is slow to change often, and they were just not interested in sustaining and maintaining the machine. They didn't have anyone who knew anything about it.
Thank you. Because this is a process that's not known well to many people, what would be your possible influx of services? It's great to know that Magnolia Park has the opportunity to be the only one in the state, basically. But just wanted to get an idea what would be your influx.
Yeah, so we have made contact with many other providers throughout the country who are providing this service, and it has really caught on. We have a partner in Seattle, Washington, who offers this to his families and who call for traditional flame cremation. And about 60% of the time, families will end up choosing alkaline hydrolysis over flame cremation once they hear that there is an alternative to flame cremation. So it's more of an educational thing around giving families an option outside of just traditional flame cremation.
And I understand that the exposure is going to have to really grow. So at this time, do you have any suggested service time frames, or how many you think you serve it in a month, year, or whatever?
So I would say within the machine we can run 4 processes a day. I think that it will probably take us several months to ramp up any business and to get the word out there. We have a funeral director who is currently serving as funeral director in South Florida, so he has contacts, and we'll be working with hospices and long-term care facilities and going to them and providing marketing materials to let them know that we are available. We also, one of my co-founders is also has worked in startups before and is amazing in marketing, so we'll be doing search engine optimization, all of the things that one would do if they were to Google cremations in South Florida. We'll work to make sure that they see us first when they search online.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Other questions, and then we'll come to Councilwoman Green if there's no other questions.
Good evening. Thanks for the presentation, and we're looking forward later when we have the hearing. So thank you for your presentation.
If you're interested in seeing, there's a video on Wired. It's on YouTube. It was published by Wired magazine. The person who presents there, his name is Dean Fisher. He's actually my other partner. He started alkaline hydrolysis. He's sort of the godfather of this technology in the United States. It's been around since 1888. It's not at all a new procedure, but he started the cadaver program at Mayo Clinic and at UCLA, and both of those academic institutions have a machine inside their institution, and he walks through a great presentation about the process and what happens.
You look for what terminology?
It's if you just search alkaline hydrolysis, you'll see a YouTube video. I can send it to Sherry too, or I can send it to someone, so you all have a link to it.
Okay. Councilwoman Green? Okay. Oh, Councilman McConnell?
You're saying that you use steam? Is that what you're,
No,
for the process?
we use water and potassium hydroxide.
But there's nothing left over?
At the end of the process, again, as I mentioned, there's the bones that will be the cremated remains, and then there's the liquid effluent.
And there's nothing released into
No.
atmosphere, no
No, and
stacks?
that's the difference between this and flame cremation, where flame cremation releases, can release mercury if there are teeth fillings and can release other noxious gases into the air, in addition to the burning, heating those retorts up to the temperature.
Okay, well, great. That was one of my questions as well. So you answered that question, but however, a couple more questions. Now, when you made mention of, forgive me, my glasses are broken. Now, when you made mention of the potassium hydroxide, that's acid, correct?
No, it's a base.
It's not an
It's the
acid?
opposite. It's a base.
Okay, alkaline is an acid as well, or no?
Alkaline,
Under the chemical
it's
table?
called an alkaline base.
Okay.
So potassium hydroxide is actually found in quite a bit of household products. This is just in the quantity of alkaline hydroxide or potassium hydroxide on site will be determined by the fire marshal based on the conditions of the building, sprinkler system, things like that. But yeah, it's a base.
Okay, right. And of course, there's no way to explain the process all here tonight, so we'll take a look at the video. But just to kind of get an understanding prior to doing that, what we have here is a chemical that basically dissolves the body, okay, without acid.
It's not an acid, correct?
Okay.
It's not, everyone always says, oh, did you see the Breaking Bad episode in the bathtub? It is not, that is not the process that we're using. It is a base, it is an alkaline base, so it's the total opposite spectrum of an acid.
Okay. Right, now there's alkaline in our bodies. So I'm still trying to understand how this would just break down a body. I guess in a large dose it would do so, or?
The alkaline in combination with the heat and the pressure breaks down organic molecules. So it in essence takes all of the organic material as part of your body and it breaks those cellular pieces down. And in essence sort of liquefies them.
Okay, so there is heat in the
Yes.
process?
The temperature inside the vessel goes up to about 350 degrees.
Okay. And what's the temperature of a furnace? About that or higher?
A retort?
Mhm.
Oh God, those are much
higher
hotter.
than
They're much hotter, and for much longer. You have to start. We have to get them very hot. So this week it shuts on and shuts off. I think a retort. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I don't want to give an answer that's
Oh, it's
incorrect.
okay.
But it's definitely hotter than 350 degrees.
Ready? And who regulates companies such as this? It's same?
Oh my gosh, take your pick. So let's see. We have wastewater. We'll have to go through the wastewater to get a wastewater approval, which we actually have already done. We've spoken with the West Palm Beach municipal wastewater folks, and they've given approval for this. The Cemetery and Funeral Bureau by the state regulates it as well. So we will have our staff license, right? So you have to be licensed as a funeral director. You have to have a incinerator operator licensure. And then the facility will be licensed as well. So we have to go out a pretty extensive application process and get approved as both a funeral establishment and as a crematory. They call it incinerator facility here in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then, the fire marshal obviously will need to come in and inspect the facility once it's up and running. And then there's the zoning laws, and so there are quite a few regulatory authorities that will have to give their seal of approval before we're allowed to operate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Righty, and I just wanted to fully understand. So you have a client, they come, and when the whole process, cremation, or the whole process, for lack of a better word, once that whole process is done, then they'll get a vial, they'll get a bottle or something with liquid in it, or?
If they choose, right? So families may choose to get some of the effluent back, and that goes, like in a gallon container where we give it to families. And many families will plant a tree in honor of their loved one and will use that effluent as fertilizer for that tree, or they'll use it in a garden. And then in addition to that, they'll get the cremated remains back, which is exactly the same as if you were to go through the flame cremation process. So it's just an urn with cremated remains in it. The remains are just much brighter white because they've not been burned, so they don't have that gray ashy color. And there's a lot more of them because, as I mentioned, in a flame cremation, some of the smaller bones in your body they burn and disintegrate. But in this process, it's a much gentler process, so more of the body remains at the end of it.
Okay. I heard you say twice that, and some people will use it as fertilizer. So you're saying basically indicating that there's no harm to the environment whatsoever. From this.
No, and to be honest with you, going into the municipal wastewater system, what we have found is once people are familiar with what this is, they're excited to get it into their drains because it's almost like a cleaning solution. It's almost like putting soap into the drains. So yeah, there's been a ton of research and a bunch of studies. So, you know, California has approved this process, and UCLA, where my partner worked, has one of the first alkaline hydrolysis machines from over a decade ago, and they did numerous studies on both the, you know, the wastewater discharge. Also, over in Europe, this is an extremely popular process because their environmental laws make it extremely expensive to install retorts, flame retorts. So many providers in Europe are switching to water cremation because of the environmental impact and because they don't have to put scrubbers onto the retort, the flame retorts, in order to prevent the noxious gases from escaping.
Okay. Right, so good information from now. Let's see if there's any other questions or comments.
I know this is probably not the discussion that you thought you'd be having this evening about disposition of remains, but.
It's different. It's very different.
Not
Certainly. I'm still trying to sort of wrap my head around the fact that some municipalities are glad to have body parts floating through their system, but in a different form. So, okay. All righty. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Any other questions or comments from the dais? On the dais.
No, his hand.
Any other questions here on the dais?
I didn't think it's over.
Okay. Already seeing none, and we do have a staff member that had a question. We'll, okay. Okay, just state your name and for the record.
Rob Major, I'm the code enforcement inspector in the city. Yes. If you could tell me, what's the probability, you say you use heat and pressure, what's the probability of a flame or an accident involving flame fire, this process?
So as I mentioned, my partner had one of these machines installed in both UCLA and in Mayo. It's been running for over 10 years, and they've done 400 bodies a year for the past 10 years, and they've never had an adverse event from the machine. You know, there is a very specific, the machine is sort of a turnkey solution. So once you put the body into the machine and close the door is actually a submarine door. Once you turn it, there's nothing else to be done in terms of mixing the alkaline base of potassium hydroxide. It's all connected to the machine. So there's a computer in the machine that measures the appropriate amounts of water to come into the vessel, the base to come into the vessel. So staff are not doing anything with that machine except for, you know, putting the body in, closing the door, hitting the start button, and then at the end opening the door when the effluent has drained into a holding tank, and all that's left is the remains.
Yeah, I kind of envision it as like the hydrobaric chamber, so to speak.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's a big square, it's a square stainless steel vessel with literally a submarine door on it that locks and shuts. And you can't open the door. There's no way to open the door. It has a series of sensors and alarms on it. So it's a pretty smart machine.
Okay. Ready to have another question from staff?
Just have one question. It appears that you have a lot of experience and knowledge with this. So can you please tell us do you have a similar facility on another state? How long have you been in business? What are your years of experience, please?
Sure. So we started the business, Gentle Water Cremation, 2 years ago. As I mentioned, I have 2 other partners. One is Dean Fisher. He, as I mentioned, started the alkaline hydrolysis at both UCLA and the Mayo Clinic. So he is basically the godfather of this technology in the United States and has used it for over 12 years. I have worked mostly in health and the healthcare industry and have used this technology for medical waste disposal. So I have installed alkaline hydrolysis machines. They're slightly different because it's technically a different use, and they're much smaller, but I've installed them in Florida, in many other states, in Colorado, in California. So I would say between the 2 of us, my other partner is more on the business side of things, but between Dean and I, he has over 10 years of experience, and I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years.
All right, thanks so much. We'll come now back to the dais to see if there's any final questions.
She made a statement that, you made a statement that you've used this procedure to help in medical exposure. How is that? Because it seems to be the United States has a problem in disposal of medical waste.
They do, don't they? Yeah, I mean, we're seeing more and more of this technology being used in the medical waste field for, with tissue, if there's amputations and things like that. So instead of, if there's waste, they can put it into one of these machines instead of it going into their flame retorts.
You do what with it?
It goes into the alkaline hydrolysis machine. It's just not a big machine because it's body parts and not full bodies.
So the hydrolysis machine does what with the medical waste?
The same thing, it breaks it down. It's all the organic waste, so it's not medical waste like you would think of. It's not sharps or gauze or things like that.
Oh, okay, that's what my mind went.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's body parts. And as I mentioned, there are many of these machines out there in use in the pet industry.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Righty, we'll see if there's any other questions on the deals. If not, we have anything from staff? Any questions or comments? If seeing that there are none, thank you so much. We really appreciate the presentation so that we can begin conversation regarding it. Thanks so much. We certainly appreciate it. And so what we'll do now is we'll see if there's any comments. And for those who are with us in person, we do also have our YouTube channel. We have persons who will attend via that method. So we'll check to see if there's anybody online that has any questions. And there is a 40-second delay, so bear with us. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks so much, and we do appreciate it. We'll move on our agenda. Our next item of the South Palm Beach County League of Cities Committee.
Thank you, sir. Two very brief updates. The next league meeting is next week, the Wednesday, the 24th of November. As I explained at the last meeting, it is down at Benvenuto in Boynton Beach. I don't believe I had the speaker last meeting, but the speaker will be the executive director of the Florida League of Cities. It's Jeannie Garner. The title of her presentation will be Update on Florida League of Cities and what you can expect this upcoming year. The second, more important update is, as I mentioned at the last meeting, the Holiday Network event, the Tri-City Barbecue, as we all know it, is December 3rd. The RSVP deadline is this week, so if you intend to go, make sure you get your RSVP in. It needs to be in by the 19th of this week. And that's all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments for our meeting? Hearing none, we'll continue our agenda. Our next item is item 6A, and this is ordinance number 2021-03. And of course, this is a second reading, adopting an amendment to its All Comprehensive Development Plan. There at CPA 2021-01. Mitty?
Thank you, sir. As you said, this is ordinance 2021-03. It's an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, adopting an amendment to its comprehensive development plan in accordance with the mandates set forth in section 163.3184 et sec Florida statutes pursuant to privately initiated application CPA 2021-01, which provides for amendments to the text at future land use element in order to modify the floor area ratio allowed for certain self-storage uses, providing for transmittal to the state land planning agency, providing for the conflicts clause, the severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you so much. We've heard it read by title. Are there any comments or questions as it relates to the second reading of the ordinance? Any questions or comments on the part of council? Hearing none. We do have our planner here. I'm not sure if she had a presentation as well.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council member.
Good evening.
Yes, on page 2 of the staff report, we just provide a very short comment with regard to this. On September 24, 2021, the town transmitted a complete copy of the subject comprehensive plan amendment to the Department of Economic Opportunity and a number of other agencies. So we received a no comment letter, and it's attached to the staff report. So no comments were received from DO and agencies on the proposed amendment. So the letter was received, was dated October 22nd. So that's a good thing. We have no comments from the state and from the other agencies.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we do appreciate.
After this is adopted tonight, The next step is we are going to send the adopted version to the state and the other agencies.
Oh, thanks so much. Well, so as you've heard, the transmittals did go to the various agencies. No comment was received. Amity?
And I think the applicant is also here, so we should give them an opportunity.
Oh, certainly. If the applicant would come forward and just state your name and address for the record, please.
Mr. Mayor, Josh Nichols, with Schmidt Nichols for the record, agent for the applicant. We're located at 1551 North Flagler Drive. Really don't have anything more to add, other than thank you for the opportunity on this, and we're looking forward to the next steps with this special exception of the site plan. So, thank you.
Oh, thanks so much. Let's just see if there's any questions for you, Josh. Anyone on the desk have any questions? I see.
I think that's what he said. That's correct.
Okay, thanks so much. So noted. Are there any questions for the applicant? Any questions or comments? I know this is second reading. If we've had full discussion on the first reading. Thanks so much. Thanks, Josh. We appreciate it. So at this time, if there are no other questions or comments, no questions or comments, we'll open the floor as well to public comment. See if there's any comment from the public as it relates to the proposed ordinance.
Clarification. Mayor, you mentioned hold
Not
on.
yet. Oh, we have about 10 seconds.
For this, you're referring to the
well,
ordinance.
Correct. Right. Yes. Okay, thanks so much. We'll now close the floor to public comment, and we'll come back to the dais. Vice Mayor, you had a question or comment?
No, I just wanted to clarify your direction of our decision based on ordinance, not a proposal.
Ordinance. Yeah, ordinance that we're referring to.
I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Any questions or comments on behalf of council? Seeing that we've had the opportunity for comments from the floor, seeing no comments. Seeing that there's no comments from the dais, what is your pleasure as it relates to ordinance number 2021-03? Of course, this is our second reading.
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we approve and adopt amendments of the development plan as stated in the ordinance.
Thank you so much. Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2021-03. Of course, this is a second reading. Any questions on the motion? Hearing no questions, roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
And Mayor Alberto?
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 6B, and this is ordinance 2021-04. This is also a second reading, adopting an amendment to our comprehensive development plan and to add an adopted private property rights element. Amity?
Thank you, sir. As you said, this is ordinance 2021-04. It's an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, adopting an amendment to its comprehensive development plan in accordance with the mandates set forth in section 163.3184 et sec Florida statutes to add and adopt the private property rights element, providing for transmittal to the state land planning agency, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you so much. You've heard it read by title. I will see if there's any questions now upon a second reading. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, we will now see if our planner has any comments on this.
Very short. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council member. Also, this comprehensive plan amendment was transmitted to the state September 24, 2021. The council approved the transmittal. And then we have received no comments, and that is also on page 2 of the staff report. So it was transmitted to the state and all the other agencies, Treasure Coast, with also the South Florida Water Management District, and we received no comments. The
The letter was received on, it's dated October 22, 2021, with no comments.
Thank you.
And if this is adopted tonight, my next step is to transmit the adopted version to the state and other agencies.
Thank you so much, Nilsa. Any questions for Nilsa? Hearing none. So at this time, we'll open the floor to public comment. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll close the floor to public comment, and we'll return back now to the dais. Any other questions or comments from council? Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing that we had full discussion on first reading, what is your pleasure as it relates to the proposed ordinance on second reading? Motion, please.
I so move that we approve the adoption of the amendment and the comprehensive plan added and adopted privacy to private property rights as outlined in ordinance 2021-4.
The motion has been made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing no questions, roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
And Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 6C, and this is ordinance number 2021-05, also second reading, amending the Code of Ordinance in Chapter 8.5. Amity?
Thank you, sir. As you said, this is ordinance 2021-05, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Mangonia Park at Chapter 8.5, concurrency review requirements and procedures, at Section 8.5-4, review requirements application, to revise the town code's adopted potable water level of service to be consistent with the level of service provided in the town's comprehensive development plan, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 8.5 concurrency review requirements and procedures shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes. This is second reading. I'll answer any questions, but this is one minor change to make sure that your code is consistent with your comp plan. Thank you, sir.
Certainly, thanks so much, Amity. You heard it read by title. Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll open the floor to any public comment. Thank you so much. We've allowed the 40-second time runoff for our persons online. We'll now close the floor to public comment and come back down to the dais. If there's any questions or comments on the proposed ordinance, we'll entertain those now. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Oh, motion, sorry, sir.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear a motion.
I'm sorry. Okay, my apologies. Motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 21-05, second reading.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion?
Vice Mayor Johnson, I just second.
Ready? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
And Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Thank you so much. Our next item is item 6D, and this is ordinance number 2021-06, also second reading, amending the code ordinance of Appendix A and zoning. Amity?
Thank you, sir. As you said, this is ordinance 2021-06, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Mangonia Park at Appendix A zoning at Section 9 districts to add minimum open space requirements for all zoning districts within the town, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Appendix A zoning shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes. As we discussed on first reading, this is an amendment which adds the 20% open space requirement for all districts to your schedule of site regulations. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Mitty? Any questions on the ordinance? Hearing none, we'll go to the floor. We'll open the floor to public comment.
None.
Thank you so much. We'll close the floor to public comment. We'll come back now to the dais. Any questions or comments? If not, motion, please.
I make a motion we approve ordinance number 2021-06, second reading.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith? Vice Mayor Johnson? And Mayor Alden?
Yes. Thank you so much. Our next item is item 6E. And this is resolution number 2021-17, approving final site plan application SR 2020-03 Darien Earthapa. If the applicant is present, we'll ask that you just come forward and we'll go to a meeting.
Can you state your name for the record, sir?
Sure. Name is Darren Earthapa.
And this, oh, go ahead.
I own the property at 1219 57th Street.
Thank you, sir. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so I need to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll turn back to the council and ask if there are any ex parte disclosures that need to be made on this application.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks so much, Amity. Well, now I'll go to the applicant. We do have the application before us, and so we're going to turn the floor over to you. The purpose of your desire to develop would be for?
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Mayor Albery, Vice Mayor Johnson, council members, and Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to present the application. Essentially, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, my company, and what we're looking to do with the property. Essentially, I own a tropical plant company, so we broker tropical plants. We source plants from all the way from Miami up to Homestead, Miami, up to Oaxaca. And we sell plants to garden centers around the United States, neighbors. We do also sell to cave garden centers, and starting a little bit in the Caribbean. And what we're looking to do is we're looking for an office space. So I bought the property just steps away from the Trical, which is an existing structure there right now. And what we're looking to do is to renovate it. So prior to doing renovations, there's some technical work we need to do to get it up to code. And the overall, in a nutshell, the project includes connecting it to city water, connecting it to the.
Could you do something for me? I love your accent. But because of your accent, I can know exactly what you're saying if you talk a little bit closer to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's better. Okay.
Okay, so all we want, so essentially I have a tropical plants beverage company, and what we do is we source tropical plants all over Florida, from down in Homestead all the way up to Oaxaca, and we arrange for logistics of that, and we have it delivered to garden centers in the United States, in Canada, and a little bit in the Caribbean. So I bought an office space 2 years ago next to Tri-Rail, street. And the idea is to renovate it. There's some site work that's required. The main aspects of the project are to connect it to the sewer, connect it to city water, to connect it to electric, then to put in drainage to make sure the water flows according to the way it's supposed to flow, and then to put in ADA compliance. So once we do that site work, the next step is going to be the building permit to renovate the building, which needs cosmetic work on the outside. We need to rehab the roof. But the inside is going to be open concept loft, so not too complicated on the inside. And so that's going to act as our office space just there. And so that's the concept. We work with the town's engineer and different stakeholders to make sure we have everything buttoned up. And so tonight we're applying for the final, so we submit the final. So I'll stop there in case if you have any questions, I have to answer them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We'll go first to to town manager, then we'll come to the dais. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, just to give everyone a little bit of background. Darren's been through 2 DRCs, and he has received preliminary approval from Council. Also, for everyone that went on the ride, I know Councilman McConnell was not able to, but last week we all went on a ride individually. This is one of the sites that we looked at on 52nd Street, close to the house that's going to be demolished, and staff recommends approval based on the fact we think this business will greatly improve that site. So, thank you.
All right,
and the engineers fully endorse it as well.
Okay. All right, thanks so much. And so we do have that recommendation coming from administration. So let's see if there's any questions or comments as it relates to that from the dais. Any questions or comments? McConnell?
I guess from what you just stated, basically it's just going to be an office. There's no plants, there's no gardens, any of that type of stuff on this property.
On this site, no. We do have plants that are stored on farms elsewhere.
The questions or comments? Councilman Smith?
I hear you.
All right, so I'm just going to jump in your presentation, and Councilman McCollum just said, or kind of inquire, pick your brain about what your intentions, which is an office, no plants. But all that being said, first and foremost, you're going to bring it up, you're going to go through our permitting process, understand. In this facility that you're proposing, go through the proper permitting, getting the property and the building up. Once we get to that, are you going to have staff, and what size staff you're going to have? Again, this is our office, and I'm sure you're telling me, correct?
Right.
So it's kind of important to me. I want to know if you're going to have staff and how many staff, and then also what amount of parking, if that's to say. I know we got other stuff to get to, but I definitely know those two particular questions.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So the main staff would be myself, my bookkeeper, and my salesperson.
Okay.
Obviously, the people have to be sort of together, or there's the most benefit for us to be together. So there's an adequate parking for that. The main reason I had chosen this spot was because it was close to the train station. So the idea is to commute using the train. But despite that, we do have enough parking for the staff that's going to be on site. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Just want to clarify for me. Once again, I'm delighted that you're bringing your business to Magnolia Park as an office headquarters. Just wanted to find out, will there be any customer visits or office meetings in this location? Is this only for your staff to be together?
It'll just be for our staff. So right now, we currently only service the wholesale community. And so through wholesale, and our customers are not in Florida, so we don't have customers coming to
to our office space.
So most of your business is transacted online?
It is, yes. So currently, because of COVID, we went completely virtual. So we are virtual at the moment. So most of it is online.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Just two. I'm hearing that there's none other. Now, of course, the building itself, I do see that you have remodeled, so there's going to be some remodeling taking place because the facade right now, the current structure is. Okay, so that's going to happen. Okay, great.
Yeah, we definitely want to make it fix the cosmetics of the building. I mean, my personal taste is to make it as topical vibe as possible, but I know Sherry's told me there's certain codes we need to follow, or we will follow those codes.
Okay, great. All right, and just for clarity, for the record, so just administrative functions only is going to be taking place here?
Yes.
That's, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there is room within the code to allow for a greenhouse, but that's a separate application process.
Okay, which is not part of this process
It's
now?
not part of this application.
Okay. Ready, any other questions or comments? Yeah, council comments or questions? We'll go back to administration to see if there's anything else. Okay. Okay, great. Now, this comes by way of a recommendation from administration. So with that, your pleasure. Motion, please. Oh, you have a question, Councilmember?
No, we need to go forward. I have a question. It's not that critical, so let's go to Susan.
Okay. Okay, great.
I'll read it by title if you want it read. It's resolution 2021-17, a resolution of the Town Council of Mangonia Park confirming approval of land development application number SR 2020-03 regarding site plan review for a property located at 1219 52nd Street, Mangonia Park, Florida 33407, property control number 4443430506000570, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you so much. So we've had the resolution title read into the record. We've had full discussion. Seeing that there are no other questions or comments. Okay, and again, we have a recommendation coming to us from administration. So with that, motion, please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, if we could solicit public comment. I'm not sure if anybody's on there.
Okay, did we lose everyone? Okay. Okay. So, my apologies. I keep forgetting. We'll open the floor now to public comment. Thank you so much. We'll close the floor to public comment. In this time, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Resolution 2021-17, question approval of final site plan application.
Motion has been made to approve. Is there a second? Second. Has been properly moved and seconded that we approve resolution number 2021-17, approving final site plan application SR 2020-03. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
And Mayor Alberto?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much and welcome. Okay, we look forward to the
Welcome
grand
to
opening.
town.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, so with that, we'll continue on our agenda. Our next item in Section 7 is 7A, and this is a consideration for the water renewal contract to Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida. This is inclusive of our HRA with our insurance provider, not to exceed 20% increase from fiscal year 2021. Okay, thanks so much. We have a representative in front of us, and her name for the record is?
Good evening, my name is Tamara Keeney with the Gary Group.
Okay. Thanks so much, and we really appreciate all that you do. We'll now give you the floor.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Today, we are here to present our recommendations for the renewal for the town of Mangonia Park. Starting off with the medical renewal, in which we do recommend renewing with the current plan at a 10.1% increase.
the increase again, what?
I'm sorry?
The increase you said?
Yes, a 10.1% increase. And we did provide alternates that were available, but it was determined that the most competitive for the best benefits and the best rates was the current plan.
Okay. And I'm sorry, and you stated this is with the current provider?
Yes, with Florida.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions or comments?
You stated that you want to become competitive, and so that would probably be the best. So I'm looking at this printout, and these are the best competitive rates because you're stating it. So kind of help me out because I'm not as savvy. You do this for a living, so kind of talk to me in that competitive lane, you know.
Absolutely. So we, knowing that the town has been satisfied with the Florida Blue product and with the Florida Blue network, we did look at comparable Florida Blue plans that utilize the same network in this area. In the small group market, there are limited plan designs at this level of richness. So the current plan does have a $250 deductible, which is an extremely rich benefit. To be able to go to a plan that doesn't decrease the benefits too much would allow a 6% decrease in the premium, but would reduce the benefits. It would call for a $1,000 deductible, which is 4 times the current, and a $4,500 out-of-pocket maximum. So there was a proposed option that would allow for a decrease in rates, but it would unfortunately require a substantial decrease in benefits. So we did also provide some closer alternates as well. The alternate number 2 presented has a lower deductible than the current plan, but increases the out-of-pocket maximum quite a bit. And that would only come at an 8.6% increase when compared to the 10.1% that we are proposing.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm looking at this printout of these rates and pricing reductions. So, I'm going to pause. I may have a question, ladies council.
Well, they're taken individually, A, B, C, and D, and during your budget sessions, we budgeted 20%, a 20% increase, but it came at 10.1.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, definitely needed to remind on it, and we did do that because
Thank you, Sherry.
I'm in quicksand. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
As well. All right, I'm good on the question for now.
Ready? Any other questions on the specific item being discussed? It's the health plan.
I'll just basically ask my usual question: is the staff satisfied with the selection of services provided?
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay. Now, you did make mention in terms of just the rate comparison itself. Of course, we know that when the deductibles increase, the premium decreases and so forth. What was the the greater decrease in premium? For what option?
The alternate 1 was the proposed plan that would allow a decrease in premium. And if you look at that exhibit, it would increase the deductible from the current $250 to $1,000. And it would increase the out-of-pocket maximum from $2,250 to $4,500.
Okay. That's alternate 3, 2?
This is alternate 1.
I'm sorry,
So
alternate 1.
Blue Care 14256.
Okay, and we currently have the Blue Care. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, all right, thanks. That was my question to figure out, determine which had the greater decrease in premium, but of course, everything else increases on the part of the beneficiary. Other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none. Okay, now this is before us for approval. So what is your pleasure?
Understanding that these each have to be voted on separately, all four?
Yes, they're different providers.
I'll make the motion that we approve rewarding and renewal contract with the Park Blue Shield. As stated in the same thing.
Motion has been made to approve excuse me, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield proposal. Is there a second to that? Has it been properly moved and seconded? Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, again stated for the record, this is a motion to approve the award for the contract not to exceed 10.1% with Florida Blue. That has been properly moved and seconded, and no further questions on the motion. So at that point in time, we'll call for a roll call. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
and Mayor Alberto.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7B, and this is a consideration for the water renewal contract with Emeritus as a dental provider effective December 1st, 2021, not to exceed 20%.
Thank you. Yes, again, for the dental plan with Emeritus, the proposed recommendation is to renew with the current plan. This does call for a 9% increase, which is under the budgeted 20%. And just for reference, that 9% may sound a little high, but it does come out to about $203 annually. And this would allow the town to keep the current dental benefits with Emeritus with no changes to the policy.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments as it relates to the proposed item? Hearing none. Motion, please.
Motion to consideration of water renewal contract to Emeritus as a dental insurance provider.
Motion has been made to approve the Emeritus agreement.
Yes, yes, Emeritus and Councilman.
Okay. Oh, thanks so much. There is a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All same sign. It is carried. Our next item is item 7C, and this is a consideration for the water renewal contract to Guardian for basic life, not to exceed 20% increase from fiscal year 2021. Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, did you say the basic life for this one?
Basic life.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, this, our recommendation for the basic life plan is to renew with Guardian at the current benefits, and this calls for no increase, so this would be a flat renewal at the same cost.
Okay. We like that. So is there a motion? Okay. Is there any questions? Okay. Are there any questions? Okay, hearing none. Motion, please.
Move that we accept the award of the renewal contract as stated in 7C.
Okay, motion has been made. Is there a second?
That's a question. We're talking basic life?
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, go ahead. I want to make sure.
Okay. A motion has been made to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded that we approve the award to a Guardian for long-term disability. I'm sorry, for the Guardian for basic life, and I'm sorry, I had already crossed off. Okay. Not to exceed the 20%, and we have no increase. Has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. Our next item is item 7D. This is a consideration for the award of a contract to Guardian for long-term disability insurance. Okay.
Thank you. Once again, the long-term disability through Guardian would be able to renew at a flat, no increase renewal, so that would be our recommendation.
Okay. Thanks so much. The recommendation has come. There is no increase. What is your pleasure? Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Motion, please.
Move that we accept the renewal of the long-term disability insurance.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we award the contract to Guardian Long-Term Disability Insurance for Guardian for long-term disability insurance with 0 increase. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. Our next item is item 7E, and this is a consideration, I'm sorry, 7D. I'm crossing things off. My sincere apology. Consideration for the award of a contract to Guardian long-term for disability. What we just approved was the basic life, and now we're looking at the long-term. I'm sorry, these glasses are just bad. Okay. It's the glasses. They're moving on because they're broke. My apologies. So consideration of award for contract to Guardian for long-term disability insurance. We did that. Okay. Oh, thanks so much. Okay, thanks so much. My sincere apologies. Ken lost my glasses, so.
My apologies on that. Actually, I did.
Yes, no, I don't want to throw you on the bus. And thanks so much. We appreciate all that you do. Thanks so much. Okay, have a great evening. Okay. Okay, our next item is item 7E, consideration for the approval of an agreement between the Town of Magonia Park and DS Eakins Construction for the road repair sinkhole at East Avenue. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, I think most of you were able to go with me and see this on our tour. We did solicit bids. We would like to consider this an emergency because the road is closed currently, and those of you that were able to see this, you see the depth of the sinkhole. So it does need to be repaired. I do have Van on the line, our engineer, if you have questions for him. And also the attorney, Mitty, was involved in some discussions today. We had 2 quotes, one for $31,000 from Hinterland, and the low quote from DS Eakins was $29,612. So they have a low quote, and the better thing about them is they can mobilize tomorrow, or certainly by the end of the week they can be on this. So Van and I met with their representative this morning. They're ready to go based on your approval. I'll answer any questions that you may have, and again, Van is on the line, and Mitty is available as well.
Thank you so much. Can we do this? You have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to find out, I know when we did on tour, there was some question about if this was a result of a sewage line break. Has that been identified?
Yes, ma'am. That was the result of the drainage line under the road failed based on its age and cannot be repaired. It has to be replaced. So that's a good part of this cost is the replace of that line.
So this is not subject or not the result of someone's incompetence in previous work. Some previous work, this is a result of some previous work that was not done correctly.
No, ma'am. No, this is just age for the pipe, and because the pipe failed, the sinkhole occurred, that ruined our road.
Okay. Other questions? And if not, we'll go to Van. Okay. Councilwoman Green?
I don't have any questions. I just want to make statements after we've discussed this part of it.
Okay. Alrighty, we'll come back to you. Any other questions or comments? And if not, we'll go to our engineer. Van?
Van, have comments?
Okay.
I have no comments. If there's a question, I couldn't hear anybody.
Okay. A question to Van. Now we have the 2 quotes. His recommendation would be, just based upon his assessment.
Your recommendation?
My recommendation is to go with DS Eakins as fast as we can.
Okay. All right, thanks so much. We did have an opportunity, and I'm not sure if we share with him that we all had an opportunity to take a look at it, and as much as we were able to assess within our non-engineering abilities. So we know that it is necessary to fix and soon. Public safety is on the table as well, so we got to consider. Yeah, okay, anything other than his recommendation that he needs to share with us?
Anything else, Van?
No, not really. We'll sort out all the other stuff. We just need to get the road repaired.
Okay. Okay, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Any questions for Van? Okay, Councilwoman Green may.
Van, Mr.
Let it go. I'll do my best to answer it. I just cut him off. Or I can, let me try to call him back.
Is he?
He's going to try to call
wanted to make a statement and I wanted your opinion because I wanted to ask you a question. From the tour, this is what I personally gathered, that this deterioration is not only the fault of the business association, but also the town. This neglect occurred because of two entities. That's okay. I wanted to say that because of the statement. I wanted to ask the attorney, but I wanted you to hear it. I wanted to ask the attorney, can the town mandate? Okay, when I was on the tour, Mr. Metcalf, you made the statement that the businesses used to have, I don't know what you would call it, I don't call it HOA, but they had an agreement where they were responsible for keeping up the business community.
You're right, it's an association. It's a property owners association, a business association.
The business had a business association to make sure our industrial area is respected and kept up, and not neglected like it has been for the 16th year. So can the town mandate that the business association always have that business agreement so they can this could never happen, this deterioration of an industrial area will never happen again? Can we mandate that they have to do that, keep the association up?
Yes, in a plan development, you can require that. There is an association that has been created here. There is question on this particular instance as to who installed the drainage system. So who's ultimately responsible at this very moment in time? I do not legally know the answer to that. We are looking into that. But the answer to your question is yes, you can require an association to be responsible for common property maintenance, drainage systems. There's a lake out there. Absolutely.
Okay, so as the town manager, it's you're the one who can put it on our agenda so that discussion can come up and we can put that in motion. That is what that was my opinion.
And, just updated information just from today, and I think when I took everyone on the trip, we indicated, I was pretty sure it was the Property Owners Association's responsibility. However, no pun intended, that water got a little bit muddy today, and as the attorney stated, we're having to investigate a little bit more as to ownership. It is possible that system was installed prior to the business part. So we'll be investigating that over the next weeks and months.
Very good, thank you.
And if I could just add one clarifying question, because I think your comment was, now I'm understanding your question was, can we now enforce that? That requirement for a business association is done at the development of, in this case, it's an industrial park. So there was the Australian Business Park Lot Owners Association created at that time. So in answer to your direct question, we don't enforce that now. We enforce that and require that back when the development is being built, which is what happened back then. So now it's a matter of figuring out who's responsible and then enforcing what we can if there is anything to enforce.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, other questions or comments?
Thank you, ma'am.
Right.
You may hang up this.
Okay, thanks.
Goodbye.
Okay, night. Well, thanks so much. Okay. Are there any additional questions or comments as it relates to this item? Hearing none. Motion, please.
So move that we approve the agreement between the town of Maplewood Park and DSA construction to repair the emergency.
On the road, so the road.
Motion has been made to approve the proposal from DS Eakins Construction for the repair of the road on East Avenue. Is there a second to that?
A second?
Has been properly moved and seconded. Or are there further questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith? Vice Mayor Johnson? And Mayor Albright?
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7F, and this is the discussion on the award of an agreement for lobbyist consultant services to the Pittman Law Group. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, if you recall during our budget season, budget process, we discussed bringing the lobbyists back. This is something we had for 2 years prior to COVID hitting. And the attorney and the clerk did put together invitation to bid. We did post that on the website. We sent a few emails, and the only response that we received was from Mr. Pittman. And I would recommend that we go back with the Pittman Law Group at a rate of, as it was before previously, $4,000 per month, and we did budget $48,000 for the year. So that would be as it was previously. And I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Recommendation has come from administration to a contract with the Pittman Law Group for the purpose of the consulting services. Questions? Councilwoman Green.
I don't know if it's a question or not, Mr. Mayor. It's just a comment, and I want to try, I'm thinking about the fairness of the political tension in the state of Florida right now. If we do approve this, and he is locked in for 4,000, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not getting political with this. I'm trying to use common sense. And he does nothing, I had to choose my words so I won't be illegal. Okay, he can't get anything financial for the town due to the political situation in Tallahassee. Even though we're paying him $4,000 a month, we know he's not very it's very difficult for him to get anything. So what do? We keep paying him $4,000, and I'm in support of him. But we need to talk about something. I don't know. You're paying money, and we know we're not going to get anything. So I just want us to discuss it. That's all.
So, Councilmember Green, I'll just comment on that. It is very possible. I shouldn't say very, but it is possible that we go through this. In this first year, we don't see a dime come back to us. That is a possibility. I think Mr. Pittman or any lobbyist would say that over the period of 2 or 3 years, once you do hit the jackpot, so to speak, then you do find it to be worthwhile. But it is possible we could go through this year and renew for next year and not see a dime. But I'm confident that with some of this infrastructure money that's starting to come out of Washington, in addition to what we already have received, that we'll be successful.
You answered my question. I forgot about federal. Okay, I was thinking about state. Okay, thank you. That answered my question.
Okay. Other questions?
I just wanted to refer to having some eyes in Tallahassee and receivers coming down the pipe. Look favorably on what can come to Magnolia Park is very important.
So what is that again?
I said, it's good to have eyes in Tallahassee.
You're right.
See what's coming down the pipe.
Good point. Good point.
We could have someone who can
be there.
Send to direct some of that funds in our direction and let us know what we need to do to prepare for that. So I think that's important instead of being hit blind and not knowing what's going on.
Right.
We can definitely appeal to him to keep a report to us of what's going, what's coming, what's being talked about.
Very good.
And so that we can be aware of what needs to be done to apply for funds or to direct the process.
Thank you.
Councilman McConnell?
Yes, if we don't put somebody up there, we're not gonna know.
Yeah, you're right.
So if you put somebody up there, even though you're paying that money for a year, even it may not benefit us for the first year, it's gonna benefit us in the future. So I think it's money well spent. We got some things done before, and I gotta agree with the manager. I feel confident that we'll see something again.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, Councilman Smith?
It's more of a comment, not really a question. And I'll just say this, when I did one of the barbecues, we got to meet up with all the different municipalities. It was a conversation that went on. The conversation went on like this. We've had discussion about having Pittman in Tallahassee County. We're looking for anything to come to Magnolia Park, which we need someone in that corner. So the conversation was, you either at the table or you know.
On the
And
table.
so Mr. Pittman hopefully can be that person that's sitting at the table. I guarantee that this or that will happen, but at least he's at the table and the food there being prepared. And so hopefully we'll have an opportunity with Mr. Pittman. So again, I'm gonna say it, I can't reiterate, nothing's guaranteed. But on the federal side, I heard that too, so there's our alternative. But I like at least have an opportunity to let Mr. Pittman at least advocate and get some things and dollars here, and get some projects done. So just keep that in mind, all of us. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much. Are any other questions or comments?
Just one. It's kind of like we all pay insurance
Yeah.
in case, you know. So this would be in that same realm of thinking, you know, you put something out there. You know, we all, like I said, we all pay insurance.
Okay. Well, I think the only comment I would have, and of course I agree that we do need eyes and ears there. However, more so than that, I think the first thing we do is sort of back up and take the what I consider the forward approach. That is, we have to have some clear objectives. What do we want to see? What do we want a consultant, whomever he or she is or group is, what do they want? What do we want them to accomplish for us? Right, what we don't need is someone announcing, oh, by the way, this is available. We need someone that has a priority list, so to speak, from us, right, that these are some of the needs for the town. We need you to go get it, right, as opposed to just announcing. So what, do we have some clear objectives, some clear goals that we would like to see the consultant accomplish? What are some of the things you want to see? Do we have that documented? Councilman Green?
This is just my opinion again. Could we wait until it gets a little softer out there before we start giving them objectives and opinion? Because right now, any objective that we give, that positive or negative, is not going to work. But the way things are about that, so could we wait? Just asking my council people, could we wait a time after before we? But if we do, we aren't going to give it to him, give these things to him right now, aren't we? Or could we wait until after the tension gets better out there? Well, that's my question.
Before I go into Vice Mayor, let me just kind of clear in terms of just having clear objectives, is what I was stating. And to be honest with you, and on the record, I'm not concerned about the political climate up there. This is what it's about. It's about having somebody that's going to be at the table for you. If the people start throwing food at the table, sort of, so to speak, then okay, great, not a problem. Just don't throw the food we need on the floor. But we have to be there to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I don't concern myself with the political meanderings that takes place. So for us, our full intent is, do we need someone up there to advocate on our behalf? Since we can't be there day and night, do we need somebody who's an advocate for us? And what do we want them to advocate for us for? That would be at least just my one position. Vice Mayor, then Councilwoman Green.
I just wanted to say the responsibility is upon us to outline the needs of our community and to present that to our lobbyists. As we are making, he needs to be aware of what our needs are. And at the given time, being that he is in the atmosphere, would be able to know, or at least be able to judge the appropriateness of recommendations for certain opportunities that may become available. So if we have our job done, he'll be able to move swiftly at that time needed and know when and how to proceed with whatever action is necessary, because they'll know what our needs are.
Okay. So Councilman Green, I come to you, and so my question, begging the question, I don't mean to do that. Do we know, again, getting back to my point, and then we'll get to Councilman Green, and unless you have a rebuttal to that, do we know, and I agree with you, but do we know what that is at this point as we speak?
Well, I know we have already identified many capital improvement objectives that we've been working with, and we definitely need to revisit that and define where we're going from there. So I think it's important that we do that.
Okay, Councilman Green?
When I made my statement, I think Vice Mayor Johnson and Councilman McConnell clarified that with the statements that they made. What the statements that they made, I think, covered, Mayor, what your concerns are when they said as long as we have someone at the table, that's safe. You know, if I'm understanding what you're saying.
An analogy, we're sending somebody to the store. What do you want from the store?
Well, that's what I'm saying. She said, well.
Okay, we don't have a shopping list right now, to stay with that analogy. So here's what I would recommend, not that I don't agree. I do agree that we need somebody there. But here, just one person's recommendation. Let's put together, to stay with the analogy, a shopping list. Bring that shopping list back before us at the next meeting. Table this. Bring the shopping list back to us at the next meeting, and then at that point in time, we make an intelligent, educated decision. We know what our needs are. We've identified it, and now we're going to contract with you to go get it. I understand that you may or may not be successful, but at least now you know what we want from the store. Okay, Councilman Green, and then we'll wrap up.
I'm not debating it, but I'm getting back to what the Vice Mayor and Mr. McConnell said. I just don't think it's my opinion. I don't think it's a waste of time to send anyone right there now with a shopping list with the way things are going in Tallahassee right now. And I'm just saying, yes, we can do it, but just not now. It's just that I think it's an inappropriate time to do that, to put that on him when we know it's going to be a failure. You go out there and demand in a shopping list and say, this is what we want, and this is what, this is my shopping list, they're going to laugh him out of Tallahassee. You got to be that or know.
Okay, Vice Mayor,
I'll go back to what I stated. We already have our capital improvement agenda. We already have some things that we've been working on. Some things haven't been accomplished. So I think we need to revisit the list that we've already established, revise it if need be, to add on additional concerns and move forward. And I don't have a problem with holding on the approval to when we have the items that we want him to address. That's not a problem. I think we should do that. I think that's a wise decision.
Okay.
But we do need to move forward with identifying what our needs are that we want him to have.
Certainly. And if I may, in just 30 seconds, and I agree with that, just two things real quick in terms of just projects that we've identified. We know that when we talked about the improvement that we need to our system, our drainage and all of that, so we know we need all of that, right? Keep in mind, too, that we sort of have a soft agreement, and I kind of call it that, a soft agreement with our engineer to pursue that. See, this is something we need to identify clearly who's going to be doing, who's on first base. Because right now we send somebody out of the batter's box to go bat on, to get to first base. That was our engineer, if I'm not mistaken. So do we take that now out of that arena and put it here? So this is what I'm saying about being clear, have some clarity into what we want. We talked about the possibility of an interconnection with West Palm Beach. Do we kind of have the person advocate up there, or do we continue what we started down here? This is what I mean. Those are two major projects that we talked about. The other question would be, who would be the grantee for the dollars? Is it the county or is it the state? Right? Now, the lobbyist doesn't lobby the counties. After the money comes down from the states, then, of course, it's kind of dispersed from the county level. So this is what I mean in terms of just, let's back up and take the forward approach, that we identify what our needs are, and those opportunities are out there. Because if indeed there are no opportunities out there for our wish list, then what decisions do we make at that point? That's all I'm saying. Okay, so with that, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. This is an action item, so it does require, and whatever this body decides is what happens. So as it relates to the proposal, there was the discussion for it, and we've had discussion as it relates to it, and what is your pleasure as it relates to contracting with the Pittman Law Group for the purpose of consulting services? What is your pleasure? Motion, please.
I could move that we table the approval any decision until we establish our list of items to be represented by our lobbyists.
I didn't hear you, did you say table it?
I'm told that we table the decision until we have our list of items, yes.
Motion has been made to table a decision on it until we have some clarity in terms of what we're going to be going forward on, a list of items she made mention of things that we can place before the consultant that we want to contract with. Councilman Green?
Question on the motion is, I just want to understand, the Vice Mayor, are we not going to approve his services to the town? Are we tabling that?
Yes, we're tabling, making a decision on it for tonight.
Well, the reason I asked that question, Vice Mayor, is because what I said, you made me take back what I said based on what you said. I like. It's because you said somebody needs to be at the table, and I agreed with you. That was why I questioned your motion. And that's why
Maybe I need to clarify.
Yeah, maybe I don't
at a time,
understand.
at a sensitive time, when we will be able to follow through on the recommendation or request, so that we'll have our list of items to go along with the approval of the selection of the lobbyists.
Well, let me ask you this. So you're
if
saying,
if we can set a time, but by the next town council meeting, we will have at our discussion in place to submit our request for lobbyists with the items that they are to be considering for our town's needs. Yes, I'm in favor of that.
I want to ask another question.
Okay, let's, you can, of course that's permitted. Let's just make sure that she's, restate your motion, so you're stating that your motion is to table until the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is that she wants to table a decision on this. Not that not going to be sending anybody, she just simply wants to table it until the next meeting, a decision on it. Okay, and that is a motion out there. Is there a second to that?
There's a question to that.
Okay.
I'm on board with tabling to the next council meeting we gather again. What I'm not okay is when we get to the next meeting, since we're tabling this and we're not making a decision, please, unequivocally, let's have, and now I'm giving my opinion, I will, when we do get to the next meeting, since this consideration for Pittman Group to become a lobbying for us is being tabled, and we had much discussion about being crystal clear of what we want out of the store. First and foremost, he is a lobbyist, and that's what lobbyists do. So when we get to the next meeting, hopefully, we as a councilman staff and the town can, as Ms. Taylor revisit what we've already discussed about some things tweaking and make a decision. And if we can do that, I would gladly second what has been tabled.
Okay, is that a second?
So I'm giving a second. That's what I want. I'm hoping that we, I don't want to say I, we can, as a council, do so. Since it's been tabled, Vice Chair, thank you. I'm seconding it, the table, and we be ready for the very next meeting for everyone. Everyone needs to be here for that.
Okay, all righty.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay, so has been moved and seconded. However, Ken has some consternation over there, so we have questions now on the motion.
I don't have no questions.
Oh, no, Ken.
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, and obviously council's pleasure, obviously, but, so the legislative session begins in early January. The subcommittees are beginning to meet this week. And my only concern with postponing even for one meeting is if this is going to be into December, the lobbyists, whoever it is, they're going to have the proper amount of time to do the legwork going into the session. And, with that, during the budget process, we spoke at length, discussed at length priorities for water and sewer, road paving, economic development, i.e. the highlight, the park. So that's kind of the direction I was thinking. But respectfully, I understand that it's council's pleasure.
Well, certainly. Let's address now the park we're getting ready to renovate with some dollars that we've secured from the county. Or is there something additional at the park that we're looking to do, or?
Yes, sir. I mean, we were talking about kind of a grander vision, if you will. And I think a workshop or two ago, we put out some options that generated some conversation. We don't have everything approved and, ready, but we do have some items in a capital improvement plan that's been approved. So,
okay. All right, I'll come right to Councilwoman Green in just a moment. So at this point in time, if this were approved, if this were approved, we would have we call and email or whatever we're going to do to notify that you're the consultant that we are extending the contract to for services. And by the way, here's our list of things that we would like to see accomplished. We have that ready to go if this were voted tonight.
I have a list based on what we discussed during the budget season. Now, if we come back to the next meeting, we can always add to that, but I do have a list.
Okay, that could go forward, and here's our objectives, here's our goals, here's what we want to go along with the announcement that you are the person that we selected. Okay.
Correct. And actually, prior to getting involved with any lobbyist procedure and everything, I've had a meeting with Senator Powell about sewer, because that seemed to come up a lot during the budget process. So that's something he's going to introduce on our behalf already.
Okay. Alrighty, Councilman Green, and then we're going to wrap up.
I want to go back to, I think we are still on the motion because we haven't voted. And something's not making sense to me. Why are you going to table it when I think it's the consensus that we are going to vote on keeping the lobbying?
Okay.
Am I correct?
No. Keep in mind, any council member can make a motion, right? And it's not contestable. It's just their motion.
That's not answering my question.
It's answering the question, right? That a motion was made. It was seconded. We're currently on the question for that. Now, the make of the motion could rescind it if indeed new information has been shared that has changed that person's mind. Then that can be considered. But currently, we own the motion. Yes, go right ahead, and then we'll go to Councilman McConnell and.
I asked a question.
Councilman Agreement, you have the floor.
All I did was ask a question.
And answer what
she made a motion. It has not been seconded. And the motion was we were going to table it.
It's been seconded. We're on the question.
Because you went on.
Okay.
Whether you follow parliamentary procedure now, let me just say this. I agree with Vice Mayor and with Councilman Smith that we need somebody at the table. We said that. And then we turned around and said, let's don't hire him, let's table it. Now when it comes down, and I guess at the next meeting, when we get ready again to hire him, I hope we are going to do it. That was why I'm saying it doesn't make sense, but go on with the motion. I'm just making a comment. Nothing else. I'm through.
Okay. Councilman Smith, and then McConnell. Okay, McConnell, and then Smith.
If I'm understanding the manager right, we're going to be tying somebody's hands by not giving him this.
Thank you.
To let him have this, Pittman have this now, to be working on the things that we already know that we want, which I'm saying that you will tell him, or he's already got a list of what we want, of the things we talked about in the budget up to this point. And the rest of the wish list we have, we should be able to give to him anytime. Am I correct, or I mean, why do we have to present him with a list before we accept him as our lobbyist?
I'm sorry, if I may, Ken, just to clarify my statement, I said, do we have a list? Do we know what our goals are? That was my statement. Do we know what we'd like to see accomplished? That was my statement. Ken?
Just to answer Councilmember McConnell's question, I'm sure whoever the lobbyist is, if we were to put it off to the December 7th meeting, and at that point we agreed on an agreement, I'm sure whoever it was, they would work diligently to do everything they could for us in the legislative session that's coming up. But yeah, I mean, Mr. Pittman does have some familiarity with us, so I think he'd be able to pick that up and run. Based on some of the comments we've made during the budget season is where I'm going. If we need to add to that or take away from that, then, you know, certainly he's prepared to do whatever council wants him to do, needs him to do.
Okay. Councilman Smith, and then Vice President.
We need to give him a big list. We know we're not going to get everything. I mean, he's already been here before us in the past and told us basically that he could almost tell us what we were going to get and what we wasn't going to get. I mean, within reason. So I just don't understand postponing it till the next meeting and tying whoever, if it's Mr. Pittman or one of his associates, tying their hands until next meeting, and we say, okay, you can go.
Freddie, if I may, so that we're clear, when prior to Vice Mayor, she can clarify, prior to her making her motion, remember the question was out there, do we know what our objectives are? There was no response. She made her motion. Now, in light of the additional information, the maker of the motion, she could rescind it, and the seconder could rescind it. That's parliamentary procedure. That can happen. But there was no information prior to her making her motion. So at this point in time, the appropriate question would be, in light of the new information, would the maker of the motion and the second of the motioner be willing to rescind so that another motion can be considered? That would be the proper thing to do by way of procedure.
Am I next in line to speak?
You're the maker of the motion, so yes.
Yes. In the light of the fact that we do have some agenda items that do need to be addressed, and we have awareness of what they may be, that will get this recommendation. So I will rescind my motion to table it, and I will refrain my motion to accept the hiring of...
I'm sorry, did we get the second? Should we agree first?
I'll agree to.
Okay. So
All right, Vice Mayor, since you're rescinding your motion, I'm going to, I don't know, for lack of words, on the second, rescind my second, and so we can go forward, please.
Freddie, now you have the floor.
Oh, thank you. Then I'll refrain my motion. Drop that paper towel so I can see that. Oh, thank you.
I kind of need to watch the tears on.
His face, I want to make sure we're communicating correctly. Since we do have items that are already identified from the budget hearing, from previous capital improvement plans and so forth, we can refrain and update that list to go with the selection of Pittman as a lobbyist. So I move that we accept the request for the Pittman Law Group to be our lobbyist, and we will transmit with it a list of our agendas.
Okay. Motion has been made. Is there a second? Has been properly moved in the second that we extend an offer to the Pittman Law Group for the provision of securing him, his firm, to represent us in Tallahassee as a consultant. Any questions on the motion? Has been properly moved and seconded. Any Amity?
I'm sorry to interrupt. If I could just add one clarifying question, just for purposes of agreement drafting. Is this for a one-year contract, Manager Metcalf?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Thanks so much. We have that clarification. So any other questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green.
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. And Vice
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Our next item is item 7G, and this is a discussion on the non-ad valorem assessment terms and legal notice requirements for the installation of sewer along Jeffrey and certainly. Item 7G, discussion on the non-ad valorem assessment terms and legal notice requirements for the installation of sewer along Jeffrey. This is item 7G. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, a few weeks back, we had a workshop on this topic, and again, this is for the assessment for the sewer project on Jeffrey and Sherwood. And at the workshop, we spoke about the payback options. And I think coming out of that, we were talking about a 5-year payback. We did talk about some other options, but it seemed to be the general consensus anyway, or the general thought that 5 years would be acceptable. We are projecting this to be around $3,600 total. So, you know, a little bit less than $700 per year or whatever math that comes out to. There are several other steps that we have to take in this, but this is just to get further guidance from council. If the 5 years is something that you want staff to proceed with. And also, I think we did decide, or at least the thought was, to waive that $100 health department fee, as we did in previous years. And I'll certainly answer any questions I can.
Any questions, Ken?
Jump right in. Wait, the health department fee, $100. What was the fee again, 36 or 35? 5 years to pay that? Residents will have 5 years to pay a $3,600
Correct.
debt, for lack of better words.
On their non-ad valorem taxes. On their tax bill.
I'm sure I got more I want to add to that, but I just want to be clear that we heard you state that is, the waiver of the health department fee, the amounts, and the residents have 5 years, with that 72 months, my math off.
700. Under not ad valorem taxes. Under ad valorem, sorry. But don't forget, this is not for you to make a decision. I'm sure you.
Right, you're right. I'm just information gathering.
But we did want to give you a date for the hearing.
Okay.
I think January 18th is sufficient. That gives the public notice of more than 60 days.
And we'll have to bring that back by formal resolution to set that hearing date. So there can be general discussion tonight, but we have to set that through resolution, the final date.
Right.
Yeah. That gives adequate time. And it's a statutory process. There are several newspaper publication requirements. There's resolution adoptions. But tentatively, that should give us enough time. We'll make sure of that.
It gets published in the paper 4 consecutive weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, okay, then, my last one, thank you, Attorney, and thank you, the Sheriff, for kind of clearing some things up. I don't want to put the carrot before the horse, but this is just my concern. You're giving the residents 5 years to pay off that fee. Just say something happens in that 5-year period and it has not been paid. Do the town lien the property, or, because I'm just asking, I hope I'm not, but.
There is a process if it's not paid, and you have to go through the foreclosure proceeding, but it becomes a lien. That's essentially it. But it's a very prescribed process.
And I don't think it should come to that, but you never know. People fall in hardship, but that was my question. So thank you.
But remember, we spoke at the workshop that
You're right.
they have a 4-installment payment plan with the tax collector's office. They can sign up for an installment plan,
Right.
pay the property taxes with the tax collector, and they can pay in full up front if they want to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's options in there.
It comes out to about $730 per year.
A year. I work better than gas. Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Green?
Well, I think the attorney made a comment. I don't think we have any control or any say over that anyway, do we, Ms. Hallberg?
For the amount of time that you're doing it?
Right.
Yes.
You do, yeah.
Set that. You determine.
No, I mean the payback. I thought it came through the taxes.
The amount is pretty much set. The amount of time that you're giving him to pay back is up to council.
Set by the council? Okay.
But it's set at the beginning of the process. It's set through that same resolution where the monetary amount is,
Right.
also the installment options. If there are installment options, those are set at the beginning as well through the
Okay.
resolution.
Okay.
And I have to clarify too now, that is that amount, that 3,600, there are some properties that once we started, ran into change orders that we had to pay additional. That amount will be charged separately. It'll still be by assessment, but they will pay more than that 3,600. Okay. There's like 3 properties that will affect, and that'll be part of the resolution too, I would think.
Yeah, and what the law requires is that the town has to set its own process. If you don't do it by lot frontage, if it's by some other mechanism, we have to establish that process. So on those other I think it's 3 parcels, we'll have to get more detail. But again, this is all going to come back to you through the formal process with resolutions.
Okay. Councilman McConnell?
Just repeats itself from Pioneer Road and Bryn Mawr, the first part of it. Those assessments were determined by you for 5 years, $24.99, and it was $500 approximately per year, and most of them are already paid.
Okay. Councilman McConnell?
So the collecting of the money is out of our hands.
Yes.
It goes right to the county.
It comes on their property tax bill. You establish and you said that you're going to use a uniform collection method, so when the property owner gets their annual tax bill, there's a non-ad valorem assessment line with that assessment amount on it.
And then they send the funds to the town. Like several of them were installment plans. So we get like $200 and something, or whatever it is, however they send $183 out of a $500 lot throughout the year, so that it doesn't hit the property owner. You determined that because people were on fixed incomes, and that's why you did it over a period of 5 years previously, so that people wouldn't get that, they could have it option.
Yeah, because I know the last time this happened, some of the people, they were just wanting to pay it all at one time. They didn't want to do that.
I think we had about maybe 4 or 5 that paid up front for the assessment, and then the rest were over a period of 5 years. Some of them paid back early.
But the way I looked at it was, is we were trying to help out and not put hardship, on some of the residents that can't just pay that money up front.
Correct. That's why you determined the 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Good? Okay, all righty. So with that, again, this is just a discussion, and Councilman Smith brought up a very good point on one of the items. Can we please just make sure that when we come, we can vote it? So that was the reason for the discussion. So we offered the 5 years before. When we come to the next meeting to decide to confirm whatever we're going to do, just as he kind of stated and appropriately, are we offering the 5 years? And that's all we do. And then the other things happen outside of what we do here. Okay?
And the health department waiver.
And the waiver. Okay, so those are the 2 things for consideration when it comes before us. Okay?
Is that 5 years sufficient? I mean, y'all talk to the residents more than we do.
That's what's been put out there. When talking to the residents, we explained to them what happened last time. Last time council did A, B, C, and D. Even though they know the amount is higher this time, I don't think anyone would be surprised by the 5 years.
And I think we need to be consistent as well.
To come back again and again and again. That's why it's advertised 4 times in the newspaper. You're basically beating them over the head with this, with your decision before you make your decision.
Well, the way I look at that is when you bought a car years ago, you used to pay for 5 years to pay it off. Now it's 6, 7 years to pay it off.
10.
So, so everything's inflated.
Okay. Well, thanks. I think we've had full discussion on it and robust discussion, so we'll be able to make that decision when we come to it quickly. Okay, so with that, we'll now go to public comments. We'll open the floor to see if there's any public comment.
We have one viewer still online. No comments so far. We have about 15 more seconds. The delay is less than 40 seconds, by the way. It's only about 12 seconds.
12? Okay, we're till 40. Okay, or set up a play on the corridor. Yeah, we were told 40. Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, we'll close the floor to public comment. Thanks so much, and for the person who stayed with us, thank you so much for attending via our YouTube page. So with that, we'll now go to our reports. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, thank you for your time this evening. I'll be brief. The town clerk was nice enough to include the last week's edition of the manager's report in your folder, so I'm going to defer mostly to that, but I will hit a couple of highlights. The Magnolia Park Youth Council has been meeting regularly. The last 2 weeks has been in person at the community center. And this Thursday afternoon and evening, the Youth Council is going to put together some very light food bags for about 30 seniors and deliver those. And we've had some very generous donors step forward on that to not only food items, but we did have a business owner step forward to donate enough money for 30 $25 gift cards. So that was a nice donation of $750. And the vice mayor and I yesterday, as we were riding through town, we kind of looked behind us and we said, is that a food bank? Remember that? And today we got confirmation on that. The clerk and I went up there, and I didn't have to say a word. Within 2 minutes, Sherry had a pallet full of donated food. So that happened very quickly today, and so the youth council is ready. They'll meet here at 4 o'clock on Thursday. We'll get everything together and taken out. And the youth council has also volunteered to help us decorate for Christmas. We did order some Christmas lights for outside and our usual Christmas decorating inside. That'll take place the Sunday following Thanksgiving and the Sunday following that. So we do have a couple of dates lined up. Ms. Buchanan Webb, whether she's listening or not, she has really taken the bull by the horns. The clerk has been involved, and we're excited. We did select officers. We would like more youth participating, so for anyone that knows youth ages 9 through 18, we have plenty of openings. And also, Kevin has volunteered to put some things in place for them as well. Wanted to thank the clerk for all her work on the insurance material that was presented tonight. We did come under, even though we did get an increase on most of the items, we did come under what we had projected in the budget. So we're thankful for that. Palm Beach County, we talked a little bit about the legislative session. Palm Beach County Days will be in early January. I don't have that in front of me. I think that's the 11th and 12th of January. Everyone has a little bit of a travel budget. If you're so inclined, if you'd like to go up for basically a day and a half or 2 days really by the time you count travel, just let myself or the clerk know. It's very interesting. I know some of you have been up, and that's where your lobbyist will basically strap roller skates onto you, and you'll be going for a good 8 hours one day. So anyway, that's that. Also a reminder, the soft presentation that you had tonight from the cremation crematory. That will be a special called meeting on Friday morning at 9 a.m. for the Planning and Zoning Board, which that is Town Council, and that will be at 9 a.m. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on any topic, but that's my report for tonight.
Okay, thanks so much. Any questions for Ken on the report?
I'd like to add something. With the discussion of the youth council, we have poor representation in Tiffany Lakes and Hampton Court for seniors. So if you know anyone, if your neighbor, if you know that they have a need, if you could please let us know between tonight and tomorrow, that would be great. Because we have our regular senior citizen list just from our water bills, people that pay their water bill. But if you know if your neighbors or those that are actually in need, if you could give us their names, we would really appreciate it. And contact information.
Okay.
Especially in those two communities.
Okay, great. All righty, two things. Go ahead, Councilwoman Green.
You know, I've been noticing, especially during the virus, and anything that young or youth does for, I think they're singing, seniors, media jump on it. And whoever is, but first it has to be organized, and you have to let the media know at least a week before. But I think it would be great for our youth and our children in Mangonia Park to use Channel 12, since they don't know they live here, and let them know a week before what our children are doing, and maybe they will get some exposure on Channel 12.
We were planning on getting, we are not planning on, we're getting consent from the parents of the youth council that we take pictures and everything, and maybe video, and we're planning on posting it on our website since we couldn't do that part yet. That's what we're hoping to lead to for media coverage, proper media coverage.
That's, you talking about a website. I'm talking about Channel 12.
I know, that's what I mean. Right.
Okay.
Okay. Righty, and we do have the some type of document that we can send to them, that we give to parents to sign off that we can take images of their kids? Okay. All righty. Okay, go ahead. Councilwoman Green, and then we'll go here.
Let's say again, I don't mind helping, and I'm not saying that no one knows how to do a press release. But if it's done correctly in the press release, if it's not, don't take a picture of something and take it to Channel 12 and say, this is what our kids did. They're not, they ignore, they're put in the garbage can. So I'm sure Ms. Albury and the town manager knows that, so it has to be prepared correctly if they're going to put it on television.
Okay. Righty, anything else up again? Okay. Right, just two quick things. Has the lights at the community center been adjusted yet for daylight saving time? Because it's sort of dark. Yeah, just check it.
I don't know, I have to check.
No, just double check it? Okay, great. And have we set a date, and it's probably in your report, for our Christmas program? Christmas giveaway? Toy?
December 19th, from 1 to 3.
Okay.
We're starting at 1. We wanted to know if we could have the same participation that we had last year
Okay, so,
from all of you.
okay, 12 and 19? Okay, thanks. Alrighty, that was just questions for Ken, for administration for you. Okay, thanks. Alrighty. So saying that there's no other questions for administration, nothing else, then we'll go to Captain.
As submitted, unless there's any questions.
Okay, I like Captain. Okay. Any questions for the Captain? Okay, seeing no questions, okay, great. Mitty?
Nothing specific, sir, thank you.
Okay, any questions for Mitty? Okay, hearing none. We'll now go to our reports. Councilman McConnell?
Nothing.
Okay, Councilman Smith?
I'm just thinking, let's get around the corner. I haven't heard any other conversation about I'm not a turkey fan, but I'm a turkey fan. We doing something like that? I'm curious.
Yeah,
You don't have to answer right now.
that's okay, you're right. Mr. King normally does something. We haven't heard anything, at least I haven't.
It's not like that, but just curious.
You still banned from the kitchen?
I got you.
Okay, no, I haven't heard anything.
All right.
Okay, Okay, all righty. Okay, Councilwoman Green?
Thank you. I'd like to make two comments. One is about our town manager, and Mr. Metcalf, I better speak for me personally, but I hope I'm speaking with the council. I want to say to you, thank you personally for the tour of, the entire industrial area. You did something in 6 months that it had taken us 16 years to do. And I remember in 1992 when I went to the legislature, they were talking about septic tanks. And at that time, it was septic tanks. Everybody thought that only the acreage had septic tanks and all kind of stuff. And at that time, then 8 years later, I was a county commissioner. And we were still on septic tanks. Only Mangonia Park was on septic tanks, but the other municipalities were not. So it took us 16 years, septic tanks, and it took you 6 years to successfully get us off septic tanks. And I just want to say I appreciate that, and I thank you for that. And with that, and you aren't going to like what I'm going to say now. So now that, when you do something good for people, a child or whatever, they feel good, and it made the residents feel good, and you could tell they started caring more. We started caring more for the town and our upkeep of the property. And then when you hired code enforcement men, that was better. And now that you have successfully gotten us off septic tanks, there were only two things that really bothered me when I was a representative, when I was a county commissioner. That was septic tanks and our industrial area. So I was proud with septic tanks. Now the other one that was for 12 years that has been neglected is our industrial area. And I know that is a mountain to climb, but I'm not saying that you can do for our industrial area in 6 years what you did for the septic tank, but we hope that this council will back you and make that possible. So it won't take as long to do the septic tank, which we hope you do for the industrial area. So thank you very much for that. Okay.
I would say, if I can respond, thank you for that. We do still have properties on septic, and we are working hard to do that. Hopefully, the action the council took tonight is a step in that direction as well. And when you say the industrial area, you're not putting words in your mouth, but I think you're talking about the appearance of it, or...
I mean, our whole town is industrial, but I meant, you know what I meant. Go on. I just didn't mean just one part of it. I mean, the worst part is over behind the hill section. But all the town does not look like the behind the hill section does. Now, you really have a mountain to climb back there. No, we really have a mountain to climb. But we have your back. Okay. And the other one is about, and I guess I've done this twice, the DAS protocol. Something happened at our last council meeting that I have to say something about. I'm not an expert when it comes to parliamentary procedures, but I'm good. But I was trained by the best. And I was trained by the state legislature, which is the highest in the state of Florida. But when freshmen go to Tallahassee, the first thing you get is training. How to get along, how to chair a meeting, but how to show protocol among your council or your representatives on the dais. And after 8 years there, not only did I learn how to chair a meeting, when you're a freshman, that's the first thing the Speaker of the House does, that every freshman who is elected has to chair a meeting so you can learn how to chair. No one chair will sit there for 8 years. And that's how I learned. And once I left Tallahassee, then I became a county commissioner. So I learned from the best again. And I said that to say this. Out of all of the people that I saw and mimicked and learned from, I never saw a chair or an elected official in a position of authority ever tell another person on the dais that you can't speak. And I hope this never happens again. And I saw something happen tonight that really made me, I think this is the first time I've seen us discuss an issue among each other. And that's the way I've been trained, to get along with people on the dais. And I hope we will continue that way. And I will end by saying this, that one thing I get from the legislature and the county, if the staff had ever cut the mic off of the speaker on this dais, they were relieved of duty. Now, I don't know who cut the mic off or who gave whoever permission to cut the mic off, but that would never have happened in the state or the county. And I just say, I hope, and this is my second time having to talk about things that occurred on the dais, and the attorney was not here, and I hope it is the last. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
I don't know if I should bother to find out clarification, but I don't know if the mics were turned off anytime at all. But nonetheless,
Excuse me.
Go ahead. I like the progress that was made tonight, and I think we need to continue forward. There's a cohesion that's noted from businesses as well as residents. There's a cohesion in the council that I think is valuable. I know any one of us can make a mistake. And when a mistake is made, if a proper apology is offered, it should be accepted and we should move forward and not dwell on the mistake. Because we all are human, and we all are in the process of trying our best to get along. So, I'll just let that go at that.
Okay. Ready? Let me go to the attorney, because I always want to make sure we have clarity on things. What is the proper procedure after a meeting has adjourned? What is the proper proceeding for interactions thereafter? What should or should not happen?
The meeting should be adjourned and there should be no official business or discussion about business outside of the sunshine.
Okay. All right, second question. If a council person said something, even if that council person was inappropriate and they made a mistake and they said, but no response, we don't need any responses from anyone. What happens at that point if there's no responses if a council member said something after the meeting was over with, but there was no responses from other colleagues?
Without knowing all the specifics?
Just generally speaking.
I'm sorry?
Just generally speaking, if a council member after a meeting makes a statement or makes a comment out loud and just makes a comment, right, regarding something that might come before the council, and the person says, okay, but I'm sorry, but no comment, just speak with the town manager, and no comment is made, has a violation taken place? Just generally speaking.
I can't answer that, sir.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Normally what happens, and let me see if I can kind of answer. Normally, and Councilwoman Green talked about parliamentary procedures, and I read them in a long time myself. Generally what happens, and when you go through the ethics training, what they always tell you is that if indeed a mistake was made, you got to fix it, right? Or if a statement was made by an elected official, and for instance, if an elected official in any municipality were to send out an email and his colleagues, those of the same, his colleagues, they're on the dais, same elected body, receive that email, but they didn't respond to it, has a violation taken place.
Well, that's a sunshine issue. That's not a parliamentary procedure. That's a sunshine law violation or not. So that's where I'm not understanding, and I'm hesitant to give you an answer on the record that I don't fully understand the facts.
Okay. Oh, no. It was a general question that if indeed an elected official from another municipality sent out an email and his colleagues received the email, but they didn't respond to it, right, is that a violation? Has a violation of the sunshine taken place? This is a general question.
No, sir.
Okay. Thanks. Alrighty, so with that, and so now the specifics, and again, because I never speak to be contentious, I just don't want misinformation on the record, and I've said that time and time again. I simply will not let misinformation be put on the record. So what happened at the last meeting, the meeting had adjourned, right, and so I was unaware that the mic was still hot, So I made mention, I was talking out loud, all of this paper, didn't we talk about, just kind of going back to our laptops and our iPads and so forth? And maybe we can just go to Surface Pros or whatever, right? And then Councilwoman Green raised her finger to talk. And I said, no, speak with Ken, because we haven't talked about Microsoft Surface Pros yet. She insisted on speaking. I said, no, just speak with Ken, because we haven't discussed it yet. That's what happened. So I'm not sure where the big issue and don't speak. There was never anything about don't speak. In fact, I said, do speak, but speak with Ken. Right? The meeting had adjourned, and the mics were turned off. Right? Which is what should have happened. The mic should have been disengaged because the meeting had adjourned. At the end of it, amen, good night, whatever it is, one say, it's over, and the mic is turned off. Right? So that's what happened. Okay? Councilman Green, then we're going to go.
That's exactly what I'm referring to. A special meeting was called. Thank you. A special meeting was called. The attorney, you were not here. And we took the time to come to a special meeting was called. The meeting only lasted a few minutes. Mayor Johnson, what you did was disrespectful, but I get to that. And when the mayor chaired the meeting, when the meeting was over, he stood up and said to,
You stand up.
well, you sat down, and said that he made a statement about our laptops. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And he said to us,
iPads specifically. Yes, you're right.
and he said to us, not how, you see how we were discussing the attorney's contract? That was the way a discussion is supposed to be led by the chair. He brought up the fact that we waste too much paper. And he brought up the fact about all of us using laptops. That was the statement he made. He did not come and say, we will discuss how much paper. He said, we use too much paper. And I raised my hand to support him with it, but he says, no discussion.
Point of order. I did not say that.
This
I
is
said,
what-
please speak with Ken.
This is what
Because
I'm
you
talking
continue to
about.
put misinformation on the record, and I won't allow that to happen.
I was trained by the best. That
I
when someone on the
question that.
dais is speaking, whether you are the mayor or the chair,
You have the floor.
you do not thank you very much. I finally think
But
that
I
you
did
are
say
learning.
point of clarification, did I not? But you have the floor.
I rest my case. I don't need to say anything else, but that's the type of behavior
because
I'm
you
saying
obviously
I
haven't read
learned
the
not to
rules.
do as the chair of a person. You proved my point. Thank you very
I
much.
think anyway, we're not going to get into a contentious debate or a confrontation. Ken?
Just one comment. The mics were not shut off until the meeting was adjourned. And just,
Yeah. Right, but it should have that. Yeah, right. Okay, but I didn't engage in
Mr. Metcalf,
discussion.
One day I want you to prove to all of us, you are the town manager. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Righty, so with that, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. It is carried, and we'll disconnect the mics. Okay, thanks. Alrighty, so we got these, and yeah, we want to take a few.